The shuttle doors opened with a soft hiss. Sergeant Daeho Kang stepped onto the deck of the largest ship he had ever seen. The Endless Dawn was the pride of the Galactic Council. It was so big that entire cities could fit inside it. Daeho had grown up in a small town near Bizen. He had joined the army at 18. He had fought in 3 wars on Earth, but nothing had prepared him for this moment. He was standing on an alien spaceship. He was millions of kilometers from home, and he was here to help humanity prove that it deserved a place among the stars. Ambassador Yuna Park walked ahead of him. She was a small woman with gray hair and sharp eyes. She had spent 30 years as a diplomat. She had ended wars with her words alone. Now she had the hardest job of all. She had to convince the galaxy that humans were worth something. Lieutenant Sorabik walked on Daeho's left side. She was young but smart. Her job was to keep the ambassador safe. She carried no weapon. The aliens had not allowed it. But Daeho knew that Sora did not need a weapon to be dangerous. The 3 of them walked through a long hallway made of white metal. Strange lights floated above them. The air smelled clean but also strange. It was too perfect. Too pure. Daeho missed the smell of earth and rain. They entered a massive chamber. It was round and filled with aliens of every kind. Daeho had seen pictures during his training, but pictures were not the same as seeing them in person. The Varani stood near the center. They were tall beings made of living crystal. Light passed through their bodies and created rainbows on the floor. They were beautiful in a cold way. Their leader was even taller than the rest. His name was High Commander Aris. He looked at the humans like they were insects. The Vela stood in another corner. They had 4 arms and skin the color of copper. They moved in quick, nervous ways. Their eyes never stopped looking around. The Keth were harder to look at. They were like giant insects with hard shells and many legs. They made clicking sounds when they talked to each other. Daeho tried not to stare at them. The Morans floated in special suits filled with water. They were fish-like beings with large eyes and flowing fins. Their suits made bubbling sounds as they moved. There were other species too. Some looked almost human. Others looked like nothing Daeho had ever imagined. All of them watched the 3 humans walk into the chamber. Ambassador Yuna stopped in the center of the room. She bowed her head in respect. "Thank you for welcoming us," she said. Her voice was calm and strong. "Humanity is honored to be here." High Commander Oris made a sound that might have been a laugh. His crystal body flickered with blue light. "Welcomed?" he said. "You are not welcomed, Ambassador. You are tolerated. There's a difference." Some of the aliens laughed. Others whispered to each other. Daeho felt his hands form into fists. But he kept his face still. He was a soldier. He knew how to control his anger. Yuna smiled like nothing was wrong. "Then, we are grateful to be tolerated," she said. "We hope to show you that humanity has much to offer." "What could you possibly offer?" Oris asked. He walked closer to the humans. He was almost 3 meters tall. He looked down at them like they were children. "Your species has been in space for only 30 years. We have been among the stars for 10,000 years. Your planet is a ball of mud filled with poison and death. Your bodies are soft and weak. You break easily. You die easily." He pointed one long crystal finger at Daeho. "Look at this one. This is supposed to be a soldier? He is so small, so fragile. I could snap him in half with one hand." Daeho looked up at the alien commander. He did not speak. He did not move. But inside his mind, he was thinking about all the things he could do to this alien if he was allowed .so or a step slightly forward. "Sergeant Kang is one of our best soldiers," she said. Her voice was polite but firm. "He has served with honor in many battles." Oris laughed again. "Battles? Against what?" Other humans? That is like watching insects fight each other. It means nothing. The other aliens seemed to enjoy this. They watched the humans with amusement. To them, this was entertainment. The weak newcomers being put in their place. But Ambassador Yuna did not look worried. She had expected this. She knew that the galaxy thought humans were worthless. That was why she was here. That was why she had brought Deho. "High Commander," Yuna said, "we understand that humanity must prove itself. We do not ask for respect that we have not earned. We only ask for the chance to earn it." Horus considered this. His crystal face was hard to read. Finally, he nodded. "Very well," he said. "You will have your chance. We will give you a tour of our ship. You will see what real power looks like. And perhaps then you will understand why your species will never be anything more than a footnote in galactic history." He turned and walked away. The other aliens followed him. Deho looked at Ambassador Yuna. She gave him a small nod. Her eyes said what her mouth could not. "Be patient. Wait for the right moment." Deho took a deep breath. He thought about his home. He thought about his mother and his friends. He thought about all the people on Earth who were counting on them. He would be patient. He would wait. But when the moment came, he would show these aliens exactly what a human could do. The tour lasted for 3 hours. High Commander Horus showed them everything. He showed them the engine rooms where stars were held in metal cages. He showed them the gardens where alien plants grew under fake suns. He showed them the medical bays where machines could heal any wound. At every stop, Horus made sure to remind the humans how small they were, how weak, how young. "This healing machine," he said, pointing to a large metal pod, "can rebuild a Varani body in 6 hours, but it would not work on humans. Your biology is too simple, too primitive." Ambassador Yuna nodded politely. She asked questions about the technology. She showed interest in everything. But Deho could see the truth in her eyes. She was not impressed. She was studying. Lieutenant Sora walked beside Deho. She leaned close to him and whispered, "They really hate us." Deho shook his head slightly. "No," he whispered back. "They do not hate us. They do not even think about us. We are nothing to them." "That might be worse," Sora said. Deho agreed. It was one thing to be hated. Hate meant you were seen as a threat. But to be ignored? To be seen as nothing? That was harder to accept. The tour ended at the weapons deck. This was clearly what Horus had been waiting for. His crystal body glowed brighter as they entered the massive room. Weapons of every kind filled the walls. Plasma rifles, energy cannons, blades that hummed with strange power. "This is the heart of Varani strength," Horus announced proudly. "Our weapons are the finest in the galaxy. No other species can match our military power." He walked to a display stand in the center of the room. On it sat the largest rifle Deho had ever seen. It was almost 2 meters long. Its barrel was thick and covered with cooling vents. Strange symbols glowed along its side. "This," Horus said, lifting the weapon with both hands, "is the VR-7 Decimator. It is the most powerful infantry weapon in known space. A single shot can destroy a battle tank. The plasma bolt travels at 1/10 the speed of light." He held the rifle up for everyone to see. Even with his great size, he needed both hands to hold it steady. The weapon was clearly very heavy. "The VR-7 requires 2 Varani soldiers to fire with accuracy," Horus continued. "One to hold the weapon, one to aim. The recoil alone would break the bones of any lesser species." He set the rifle back on the stand and turned to face the humans. His crystal eyes locked onto Deho. "Tell me, human soldier," Horus said slowly, "could you fire this weapon?" The room went quiet. Everyone watched. This was the moment they had been waiting for. The moment to humiliate the humans completely. Deho looked at the rifle. It was massive, heavy, designed for beings much larger than him. But he had seen the way Oris held it. He had noticed the balance point, the weight distribution. Before Deho could answer, Sora stepped forward. "Hi, Commander," she said quickly. "Sergeant Kang is a skilled soldier, but that weapon was clearly not designed for—" "No," Deho interrupted. His voice was calm, steady. "I will try it." Sora looked at him with worried eyes, but Deho gave her a small nod. "Trust me," his eyes said. Ambassador Yuna said nothing. Her face showed no emotion, but there was something in her posture, something that looked like hope. Oris smiled. It was an ugly smile, full of cruel joy. "Very well, little human," he said, "but I warn you, the recoil of this weapon has killed lesser beings. Your arm might be torn from your body. Your bones might turn to dust. Are you sure you want to try?" "I am sure," Deho said simply. The other aliens in the room moved closer. They wanted a good view. A Velith with copper skin whispered to his friend. "This will be funny," he said. A Keth clicked its mandibles in what sounded like laughter. "The human will die," it said. They always do. Even the Morans in their water suits bubbled with excitement. Everyone expected to see the human fail. Everyone expected to see him break. Oris gestured to the weapon stand. "Then please," he said, "show us what humanity can do." Deho walked forward slowly. He could feel everyone watching him. He could feel their doubt, their mockery, their complete certainty that he would fail. He stopped in front of the VR-7 decimator. Up close, it was even more impressive. The metal was warm to the touch. Energy hummed inside it like a sleeping beast. Deho looked at the weapon for a long moment. He studied its shape, its weight, its design. Then he thought about Earth. He thought about the gravity that pulled on every human from the moment they were born. 1G constant, endless. Earth's gravity was stronger than most habitable planets in the galaxy. Humans grew up fighting against it every single day. He thought about his training, the endless runs with heavy packs, the climbing, the swimming, the fighting. Human soldiers trained their bodies until they broke, and then they trained some more. He thought about his grandfather, who had worked in the fields until he was 90 years old. He thought about his mother, who had carried him on her back up mountain trails when he was young. He thought about all the humans throughout history, who had lifted stones and built pyramids and conquered their world through nothing but strength and will. The aliens thought humans were weak because they were small. They thought humans were fragile because they bled easily. They did not understand. They did not know what it meant to be born on a death world. Deho reached out and wrapped his right hand around the grip of the VR-7 decimator. He took a deep breath, and he lifted it off the stand with one hand. The room fell silent. Complete silence. Not a single sound. Deho held the VR-7 decimator in his right hand. His arm was extended. His grip was firm. The weapon that required 2 Vorani soldiers to fire hung from his fingers like it weighed nothing. High Commander Oris stared. His crystal body flickered through colors that Deho did not recognize. Blue, green, white. His mouth opened, but no words came out. The other aliens were frozen in place. A Velith had dropped the drink he was holding. The liquid floated in the low gravity, slowly spreading into a small cloud. Nobody moved to clean it up. Deho could feel the weight of the weapon. It was heavy. Probably 40 kilograms, he guessed. Maybe more. Back on Earth, he had trained with weights far heavier than this. He had carried wounded friends through mud and fire. He had climbed walls with full combat gear. This rifle was heavy. But it was not impossible. He turned to face the training area. At the far end of the weapons deck, about 300 meters away, stood a row of target dummies. They were made of reinforced metal, built to withstand plasma fire. Is there a target I should aim for? Deho asked. His voice was calm, normal, like he was asking about the weather. Ars finally found his voice. That is impossible, he said. The confidence was gone from his tone. No being can hold that weapon with one hand. The weight alone would. The target? Deho repeated. Ars pointed with a shaking crystal finger. The center dummy, he managed to say. 300 meters. Deho nodded. He raised his arm, bringing the rifle up to aim. His shoulder did not shake. His hand did not tremble. Years of training had made his body into something more than flesh and bone. Lieutenant, Sora watched with a small smile on her face. She had seen Deho do many amazing things. She had seen him run 40 kilometers without stopping. She had seen him break down a steel door with his bare hands during a rescue mission. She had seen him lift the back of a crashed vehicle so wounded civilians could escape. The aliens thought humans were weak. They had never seen what humans could really do. Deho looked down the length of the rifle. There was no targeting computer. No help. Just his own eyes and his own skill. 300 meters was a long shot. Vorani soldiers used computers to hit targets at that range, but Deho was a sniper. He had made longer shots than this in the mountains of his homeland. He had hit targets in wind and rain and darkness. He slowed his breathing. His heart beat steady and strong. The world narrowed down to just him and the target. He found the trigger. He squeezed. The plasma bolt exploded from the barrel. Blue fire screamed across the weapons deck. The air itself seemed to catch fire for a moment. Light filled the room like a tiny sun had been born. And then came the recoil. It hit Deho's arm like a hammer. Force traveled through his muscles and bones. Any other species would have been thrown backward. Their arm would have been torn off. Their body would have been broken. Deho took one small step back. His arm moved with the force, absorbing it, controlling it. His muscles flexed and held. His bones bent but did not break. Human bones were flexible. They could bend under pressure. And when they did break, they healed back stronger than before. It was one of the many gifts of evolution on a death world. The plasma bolt hit the target dummy dead center. The metal figure exploded into molten pieces. Fire and smoke filled that end of the weapons deck. Emergency systems kicked in, spraying foam to stop the flames. Deho lowered the rifle. He looked at his arm. It was red from the force. It would probably bruise later. But it was not broken. It was not even hurt that badly. He turned back to face the aliens. Good weapon, he said. Nice balance. A little light for my taste, though. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. The silence stretched on and on. Ambassador Yuna stood perfectly still. Inside, she wanted to cheer. She wanted to laugh. She wanted to hug Deho and thank him for everything he had just done. But she was a diplomat. She kept her face calm. A cat made a strange sound. It took Deho a moment to realize the insectoid alien was choking. Not on food. On surprise. Pure, complete surprise. Light? The cat finally managed to say. He said it was light? A Moran in a water suit let out a burst of bubbles. This cannot be real, the fish-like being said. I must be dreaming. One of the Velith stepped forward. His forearms were trembling. I have studied many species, he said slowly. I have never seen anything like this. The recoil of that weapon should have killed him. At minimum, it should have shattered every bone in his arm. High Commander Aris stood frozen. His crystal body had stopped flickering. It was now a deep, dark blue. The color, Deho would learn later, meant shame. What are you? Oris whispered. Deho set the rifle back on its stand. Gently, respectfully, he wiped his hands on his uniform pants and turned to face the Varani commander. I am human, Deho said simply. Just a regular human. Average, really. There are many soldiers on Earth who are stronger than me. This was true. Deho was considered good, but not exceptional. There were men and women back home who could lift cars, who could run marathons in the mountains, who could fight for hours without rest. If the aliens were shocked by Deho, they would be terrified of the best humanity had to offer. Lieutenant Sora stepped up beside Deho. Sergeant Kang speaks the truth, she said. Her voice was polite but carried an edge. He scored in the 70th percentile in his physical fitness tests. Good, but not outstanding. The aliens looked at each other. The same thought was passing through all of their minds. If this human was only average, what could the exceptional ones do? The weapons deck remained silent for what felt like hours. In truth, it was only a few minutes. But those minutes changed everything. High Commander Oris finally moved. He walked slowly toward Deho. His crystal body made soft ringing sounds with each step. His face was impossible to read, but his colors told the story. Dark blue shame mixed with white confusion and something that might have been respect. I owe you an apology, Oris said quietly. The words seemed to hurt him. Thorani were proud beings. Apologies did not come easily to them. Deho shook his head. No apology needed, he said. You did not know. Nobody knows what humans can do. We are young to the stars. You had no reason to respect us. I had no reason to mock you either, Oris replied. That was wrong of me. Ambassador Yuna stepped forward. She sensed the shift in the room. This was no longer a moment for soldiers. This was a moment for words. High Commander, she said gently. Humanity does not seek to frighten anyone. We only wanted to show that we have value, that we belong among the stars. Oris looked at her, really looked at her for the first time, not as a weak creature from a primitive world, but as a representative of a species that might be more than anyone had imagined. Tell me, Oris said, about your world. Tell me about Earth. Yuna smiled. Earth is a difficult place to live, she began. Our gravity is strong. 1G, constant. From the moment we are born until the moment we die, our planet pulls at us. It makes our bones dense. It makes our muscles thick. She paused, gathering her thoughts. Our atmosphere is thin compared to many worlds. We evolved to process less oxygen, so we learn to use every breath efficiently. Human athletes can run for hours without stopping. Our ancestors chased animals across plains until the animals collapsed from exhaustion. The aliens listened in growing disbelief. Some of them began checking their information devices. Looking up data on Earth, what they found made them even more afraid. Your planet has predators, Avelis said slowly. Large ones. You evolved alongside creatures that could kill you. Yes, Yuna confirmed. Lions, tigers, bears, wolves, sharks, crocodiles. We were not the strongest creatures on our world, but we were the smartest. We were the most stubborn. When something tried to kill us, we fought back. We always fought back. A Moran made bubbling sounds of distress. Your world has disease, the fish being said. Many diseases. Thousands of them. Millions, Yuna corrected. Viruses, bacteria, parasites. Our immune systems learn to fight them all. When a disease kills some of us, the survivors become stronger, more resistant. We adapt. That is horrifying, the Moran said. Yuna smiled. That is Earth. High Commander Oris turned to look at Deho again. The human soldier stood quietly, watching the conversation. He did not seem proud. He did not seem threatening. He seemed normal, calm, like what he had done was ordinary. The recoil of that weapon, Oris said. It generates force equal to being hit by a small vehicle. How did you survive it? Deho thought about the question. I do not know exactly, he admitted. My body absorbed the force. My muscles held. My bones bent but did not break. He looked at his arm, which was starting to show a purple bruise. I will be sore tomorrow, but I will heal. Heal? Oris repeated. Your bones bent? Human bones are flexible, Lieutenant Sora explained. They are designed to take damage and repair themselves. When a human bone breaks, it grows back stronger than before. A cat clicked its mandibles rapidly. The insectoid had been doing research on its device. This is true, it announced to the room. Human skeletal structure is remarkable. Their bones are composed of a material that absorbs shock, and their healing process actually improves bone density. There is more, the Keth continued, scrolling through information. Human skin can repair itself from most damage. Human blood can clot to stop bleeding. Human brains can rewire themselves to recover from injury. The room was learning what Deho had always known. Humans were not weak. They were not fragile. They were survivors. Millions of years of evolution had turned them into some of the toughest creatures in the galaxy. They just looked small from the outside. Hi. Commander Oris was quiet for a long time. Finally, he spoke. I have been a soldier for 200 years, he said. I have fought in many wars. I have faced many enemies. I thought I understood strength. He looked at Deho with new eyes. I was wrong. Strength is not just about size. It is not just about power. It is about surviving, about enduring, about refusing to give up no matter what the universe throws at you. He extended one crystal hand toward Deho. Humans have this strength. I see it now. And I fear that the galaxy has made a terrible mistake in underestimating your kind. Deho took the offered hand. He was careful not to squeeze too hard. He did not want to accidentally hurt the alien commander. Varani crystals were beautiful but brittle compared to human bone. We do not want to be feared, Deho said. We want to be friends. We want to learn from you. We want to share what we have. All we ask is that you do not look down on us anymore. Oris nodded slowly. That is fair, he said. More than fair, given how I treated you today. Ambassador Yuna stepped forward. This was the moment she had been waiting for. The moment to turn a demonstration into a partnership. High Commander, she said. Humanity would like to propose a formal alliance with the Varani, and with the entire Galactic Council. We believe we have much to offer each other. Oris looked at the other aliens in the room. They were all watching, waiting. The Velith, the Kath, the Morans. All of them had just seen something they would never forget. I believe you do, Oris said. I believe you do. The video spread across the galaxy like fire through dry grass. Within hours, every planet with a communication network had seen it. A small human soldier. A massive alien weapon. One hand. The footage played on millions of screens. News anchors from 100 species tried to explain what they were seeing. Most of them failed. There were no words for it. There was only the image of Deho Kang lifting the VR-7 decimator and firing it like it was a toy. And then there was what he said afterward. A little light for my taste. That phrase became famous overnight. Aliens across the galaxy repeated it to each other. Some thought it was a joke. Some thought it was arrogance. But most understood the truth. Humans were not what anyone had thought. Military analysts began working through the night. They dug up every piece of data about Earth and its people. What they found terrified them. Humans could run for hours. Not minutes, hours. Their ancestors had hunted animals by simply following them until the animals collapsed from exhaustion. This was called persistence hunting. No other species in the galaxy did this. Humans could survive injuries that would kill anyone else. They had something called adrenaline that gave them bursts of impossible strength. They could ignore pain. They could fight through wounds. They could keep going when their bodies should have stopped. Humans healed from almost anything. Broken bones grew back stronger. Cut skin sealed itself shut. Damaged organs could sometimes regrow. Their bodies were like machines that constantly repaired themselves. Humans lived on a planet that was trying to kill them every day. The gravity was crushing. The weather was violent. The predators were deadly. The diseases were countless. And humans had not just survived there. They had conquered it. The Galactic Council called an emergency meeting. Representatives from every member species gathered in the Great Hall of the Endless Dawn. Ambassador Una Park was invited to attend. She walked into the chamber with Deho and Sora at her sides. But this time, nobody laughed. Nobody whispered insults. Every alien in the room looked at the humans with new respect, and perhaps a little fear. The council chairman was an ancient Velith named Elder Tova. He had 4 arms like all his kind, but they were thin and weak with age. His voice, however, was still strong. Ambassador Park, Elder Tova said, the council has reviewed the events of yesterday. We have also reviewed all available data about your species. We find ourselves in an unusual position. Una bowed her head respectfully. Please continue, Elder. For 10,000 years, the Council has judged new species by certain standards, Elder Tova explained. Size, technology, military power, resources. By these standards, humanity seemed weak, young, unimportant. He paused, his copper skin shifting colors. We were wrong. A murmur went through the chamber. This was the first time in recorded history that the Council had admitted such a mistake. Humans are small, Elder Tova continued, but they are not weak. Their bodies are remarkably strong. Their endurance is beyond anything we have seen. Their healing abilities are almost supernatural. He looked directly at Una. More importantly, humans have something that cannot be measured. You have will. You have determination. You have the refusal to give up, no matter the odds. These qualities make you valuable beyond simple physical metrics. Ambassador Una felt tears forming in her eyes. She blinked them away. This was not the time for emotion. Thank you, Elder, she said. Humanity is honored by your words. Words are not enough, Elder Tova replied. The Council wishes to make you an offer. He raised all 4 of his arms in a gesture of welcome. We invite humanity to join the Galactic Alliance. Not as a junior member, not as a protectorate, as a full and equal partner, with all the rights and responsibilities that come with that position. The chamber erupted in noise. Some aliens cheered. Others made sounds of surprise. A few looked unhappy, but they stayed silent. Elder Tova raised his arms again, calling for quiet. Furthermore, he continued, we offer humanity a permanent seat on the Security Council. Your species has shown that it has the strength to help defend our alliance. We would be fools not to accept that help. Una looked at Deho. The sergeant's face was calm, but she could see the pride in his eyes. He had done this. With one shot, he had changed humanity's place in the universe. On behalf of Earth, Una said formally, we accept. 3 months later, Deho Kang came home. The shuttle landed at Gimhae Airport in Bizen. There were cameras everywhere. News crews from around the world wanted to interview the man who had shocked the galaxy. Politicians wanted to shake his hand. Generals wanted to promote him. Deho ignored all of them. He walked through the crowds, past the reporters, past the government officials, until he reached a small woman standing at the back. His mother, Unji Kang, was 72 years old. She was tiny, even by human standards. Her hair was white. Her face was wrinkled. Her hands were rough from a lifetime of hard work. She looked up at her son with eyes that had not changed since he was a little boy. "You are finally home," she said in Korean. "Yes, mother," Daeho replied. "I am home. Good." She turned and started walking toward the exit. "I made your favorite soup. It is probably cold by now. You took too long with your space business." Daeho smiled. He followed his mother through the airport, ignoring the chaos behind him. Some things never changed. The galaxy might see him as a hero. The aliens might see him as a symbol of human strength. Politicians might see him as a tool. But to his mother, he was just Daeho, the boy who grew up in a small house near Bizin, the boy who joined the army because he wanted to protect people, the boy who came home when he could, no matter how far he had traveled. The universe was vast and full of wonders. But the best things were still the simple ones. Family. Home. A bowl of warm soup made by hands that had loved you since before you could walk. Sergeant. Daeho Kang had shown the galaxy what humanity could do. Now he was going to show himself what he had almost forgotten. There was more to life than strength. There was also love. And that, perhaps, was the most human thing of all.